Hello everyone, this is Ross from retrodreambeam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for more than 3 years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we were shipping out today on Monday. It was a crazy weekend. Our whole January has been crazy for sales. We do normally do pretty well in January and February, but still this is a lot. So it feels good because we had a lot of bad months last year and it was our worst year for eBay by a couple percent, but it was still technically our worst full-time year. All right, first up is, I have a lot to talk about. First up is going to be this empty tin right here, Pokemon TCG game. This is Darkrai. I think he's like a legendary. At this point, I have some memory decay for some of the Pokemon. I've played all the games at least once. Obviously, the originals I played a ton of. This is just a storage container for the card game. If it had the packs in there, it would be worth a lot more. But people still use this for storage and collecting. And they're nice looking tins. They have characters on them. $10.49 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping. I'm going to be a little bit more calmer today because it's super late. We realized that doing all this stuff on Sunday, if we get it all done before we go to sleep, we can sleep in and then I can just wake up and we can drop off all the packages. So it's like 3:30 in the morning right now for us. All right, next up is going to be this LMC truck. This is going to be a catalog. I think I got this from the people where I got a bunch of those fashion catalogs. They also had hunting gear, gun catalogs, a bunch of different, some retail stores. So yeah, just like a car catalog here. This one ended up going for $6.99. I like to list magazines and that type of like ephemera or unique stuff. All right, moving along, we have a TSR 1995, and I have stuff all over the place, so I'm gonna struggle to find some things. I have like stuff all over me. I don't think it's in frame, but I have to, it's just like all over. We've had this before, Dark Sun right here. It's like a little booklet for an RPG. It is by TSR. They've done the older Dungeons and Dragons. So I had multiple of this before. So I've sold it. Just a little pamphlet, pulls out, shows different like products you can get, and then there's some lore to read. This ended up going for $13.23. People love the role-playing game stuff. All right, next up, and I didn't know that this existed until I got this particular copy ourselves. It's going to be right over here, of course. Is it going to be right over here? Oh yeah, it's right here. This is Pandemic on the Brink board game expansion. This one's incomplete. It's missing a couple of pieces. I did not know. So this is actually first edition Pandemic. The second edition, or the one that I had always pictured in my head, has like a longer box. It's like blue with the hero characters you can play in front. This is going to be On the Brink. This is the expansion for the first edition. I believe you can add like different viruses, as well as there was like, I think, a trader card where someone would be like a trader within the ranks of, normally it's a co-op game. So yeah, Pandemic, super popular game. It was one of those breakout games for a lot of people where they were playing like Settlers of Catan, and kind of like in my mind, the golden age of board games, or like the modern golden age where like it started coming up again, still going on till this day. There's a little bit of dip right now with all the Kickstarters and drama with that section of it, but not enough time to talk about all that. But this game is a co-op game where you pick a character. It might be like a specialist, it might be like a doctor, it might be like a military person, and then there's a deck of cards that spreads viruses on the board, and it's your guys' job to cure 3 of them before the end of the game, which is usually enough breakouts happen and then you can't save the world. Really fun co-op game, pretty classic. $8.39 for that. Like I said, there's missing pieces, or else it would be worth a little bit more. All right, moving along, we have a combo order. This is for 3 empty Pokemon. I almost said Magic. I don't know if I was going to say Magic. Pokemon Elite Trainer box, just the boxes, just like how you saw the tin. These are kind of better for holding the cards because it can hold like between 500 to 800, depending on like the thickness of the sleeves you put the cards in, or even if you have them sleeves. So you got Mewtwo from the Pokemon Go series. This is, I can't think of his name. I want to say like starts with an R right here. He's like the Fighting Dark one. This is from Crown Zenith. And then there was like a third box somewhere. Oh yeah, here you go, Shining Fates. This is a super expensive set right here, the Shining Fates one. Yeah, so these are the 3 boxes. This has the Mega Eevee, or the chunkier one. This ended up essentially going for, let's see, 5, 10, 15. It's like 16, like right under $17. Sorry, I had to do, like, it was a lot of, change that I had to add up there. All right. Pokemon stuff's always good, even the empty stuff. If those had packs, be worth way more. All right, next up is going to be this. This is going to be a book that teaches you how to write kanji for Japan. Right here. Got a bunch of these workbooks. These weren't used. They were a throw-in from some other purchase I was doing, and they told me to donate these, and I was like, oh, can I just like sell them on eBay? They're like, I don't think anyone will buy them, but go ahead. So this is actually the last one. So like these sold pretty fast, faster than the stuff I picked up at the time. So yeah, this one ended up going for $17.49. So these were actually like good quality workbooks apparently, because people liked them and picked them all up. All right. Next up is going to be a combo order. Once again, this is going to be the Advanced Squad Leader boards. They bought 2 lots of them. So let me see if I can pull out both of them. There's one here and one right here. This one is numbers 38 and 39. The numbers can be up there. The later the number, the more, not necessarily more expensive, but there's less of them out there because the first like base game and the first few expansions, more of those are made. And they started with number 1. This is 41 and 34 right here, 2 more boards. So they got 4 boards, some of the later ones. I don't get as much of the later ones. But yeah, these end up going for $29. Advanced Squad Leaders, like the miniature game where they're doing different battles and wars. And then there's like a scenario card and it shows what boards you need. And I've been selling a lot of the boards. So that's been good for us, $29 for that. All right. Next up is going to be a full set of 30 dice for this board game called One Deck Dungeon. I forgot about this game. I think I still have mine, or maybe I did sell my game. This was unrelated. I found these D6 dice here, and when I saw them, I'm like, I think those are from this game One Deck Dungeon. I know they're just still D6 dice, but I remember this color palette. It's a solo game. No. I guess no. You could play with people, where you pick a hero and then you're going through a deck. It's one deck, it's a dungeon, One Deck Dungeon. That's where they get the name. They also have like an expansion. They also have a space one that I haven't played. But the goal of it is you're rolling dice to fill up slots on the card. So there might be whatever, like a dragon, and then one top left corner you might need any dice color with a 6. But then the middle might be like you need a blue 4 and stuff like that. So you use your character abilities to like change the dice and modify them, and you're going through the deck. You have health, you have powers. So yeah, really fun game. It's a pretty good one. I played it a ton solo, so that's why I thought it was a solo game at first. But yeah, this ended up going for $13.99 for like, this is the set of dice that you need. They're different colors. All right, moving along, we have 2, like a combo order. So 2 Dark Horse Extra comics right here. Issue number 23 from May 2000. And then November 2001, issue number 41. Got a bunch of these. They've been selling really well. They were sitting around me for a long time. I have a bunch of each of them. So each of these issues I already relisted when I was at the storage unit. I'm keeping them in good shape. People have been appreciating these, that they're basically brand new. Like a lot of these came in like a packet of like a bunch of them. But yeah, these 2 end up going for, let's see, it's $31.80 or something like that. I'm doing like quick napkin math. All right, so that's moving along. We have Babylon 5 ship plans. This is going to be, I believe, for the role-playing game. This one's still sealed. This is going to be volume 2 right here. So this is going to be a sci-fi RPG game. Been doing pretty well with the empty tins or the boxes, Pokemon boxes and stuff. That's been doing well. Role-playing games and the miniatures and like the extra Dark Horse Extra comics have been doing pretty good for us. A lot of good stuff, like categories that we've been having. $9.44 for this one. Like I said, people really like the RPG stuff. I actually have like a couple of bins of like, it was more of the scraps of the RPG stuff when I got like a huge collection way before we were even filming. I have a couple of bins I have to go through. I should go through it. Because at one point I was coming across a lot of doubles, and I was like, oh, I'll list them later when like the round 1 sells. Like the first ones. Once I was running into a lot of doubles, I was like, I'll list them after a year or 2. But it's been a couple of years since I've looked through that. All right. Next up is going to be a vintage ceramic. They're almost like 2 little reindeers right here, like a Christmas, kind of like a sitting desk thing. This is not an ornament, but kind of like a tchotchke. But yeah, good quality one. This one's going international, so we just have to make sure it doesn't get damaged. This is ceramic. Annette is really good at packing stuff, so I'm not too worried about it. $6 for that one. Wasn't like a crazy price. I think they offered $6, and then we had it listed for $12 after our sale. At that point, our sale like kicked it down to $12, and that's probably why they wanted a cheaper price. Normally, I don't go that cheap. I guess it really depends on the item. to go like straight up half from that point, but it was probably because the international shipping charges was a lot for them. All right, moving along, we have 3 comic books. These were actually probably a loss. I think I actually lost money on these. This was a really bad purchase by me a bit ago. We were at like I think it was like a thrift store, and I don't know, I saw a bunch of like Image comics I had never seen before, and at that time I wanted to delve into comics, so I thought, okay, why not? They were pretty cheap. Oh yeah, prices on the back is $2, $2, and $1.50. That is what I paid, and also when I went up to the front, they did no deals, even though we spent a couple $100, I think, that day at that thrift store. But yeah, East West, don't remember this one, 12, 13, and 21. So yeah, what I spent, $5.50. These only sold for $7.25. I remember the bin I listed these to, so I went to it. I occasionally will sell some stuff. I didn't lose money on all the comics, but I remember it being a bad buy. So probably after fees and all the time it took to list it and to store, just sitting there in the spot ticking away money. Yeah, $7.25. It's okay. Someone's going to appreciate them. I already put all the time into listing them, so I'm not going to like delist comics and stuff. I can always take like a cheaper price. That I think was on offer. All right, next up is going to be, this caused like a lot of questions on this one. This is Janko Jeans. This is some 2000 stuff. This is just going to be like a tag. This is like a tag that would be on the jeans. I saw that someone else had one of these like listed for 50 something. So I'll list anything. I remember these jeans. I remember some people like these. Oh, I accidentally brought home 2. I had 2 of these, so I have to make sure not to ship both of them. Maybe I didn't even realize this one was there. All right, I'm going to set that one aside. That one's not going out. But yeah, just a tag here. I even had some like someone wrote on it. But yeah, a lot of questions about this that I had. I can't remember the questions, but I remember a lot of people sending questions about this particular item. But yeah, this one ended up going for $20 for just this tag. So that was where we got that from the same person where we got the catalog, like the car one and then the fashion catalogs. So that was cool. That thing, actually, we saved that from trash. I was like, oh, this is a branded thing. I think someone will use this. All right. Next up is going to be Warhammer Underworlds. This is going to be a Rivals deck. What faction is this one? Gnarlwood Sons of Velmorn, I think. I haven't played Warhammer Underworlds. This is just going to be like one of their decks. I watched like a video that taught me how to play it for like an hour, or like, someone else's teaching video, because I had this huge box of all these cards, bits and pieces, and I was just like struggling to figure out how to piece them together to sell. So I did go through the video, and then I listed all the stuff I had, and a lot of the information disappeared. But this game, you build up a deck. You're going to have miniatures represented by cards. You're kind of playing on like a hex board, and there's objectives that you're trying to take over, and you're also trying to earn like they're not called victory points. I think they're called like power points or something like that. Essentially the same thing. So it's a tactical game with Warhammer figures. It's not like a big army on a big table. You get your little force, you get to paint them up nice, and you get to make a deck with them, and then you can change the cards in your deck. I've been selling the decks or the cards. This ended up going for $11.19. This is going international. Actually took a while for the Warhammer Underworld stuff to start selling. I listed like 80% of the stuff I had. Then since nothing sold for a couple of weeks, I set it aside, and then I went through the stuff recently, so I listed all of it at this point. Maybe there's more. There was a lot of cards. It was overwhelming. All right, moving along, we have a Pathfinder Battles skeleton figure right here. Pretty good role-playing game. It says radioactive skeleton. Cool miniatures. People like to use these for denoting monsters and figures when they're playing role-playing games. Yes, you can do the theater of your mind and do pen and pencil with everything, but a lot of people like to add figures and paint them up. These were pre-painted, so some people like to paint their own, and some people don't mind pre-painted. Or they can use it for a board game or something else. Doesn't always have to. It's like they're nice figures just to collect. All right, next up is going to be a combo order, but one of the items was at home, and I forgot to grab it, so it's going to be a bunch of cards in the other room. It's for it was a dead card game, Wheel of Time, which I think is based off of a book. I'm pretty sure, and maybe probably a TV show and or movie at this point. So I do remember hearing of that before. But there is these dice right here for the card game, and these dice have stickers that were like stickered onto the sides, which is how like some vintage board games used to be. You would open up the board game, you would have the dice, and you would have to sticker the faces of the die on it. So we got that. And then there was also like a sticker sheet. They also purchased, I don't know where it is going to be right now. I probably tucked it. Oh, here it is. They also purchased this. So this is the sticker sheet. with the faces of the dice. So this is separate. Then they bought a chunk of cards for the Wheel of Time game that I had. $40 for the 3 items as a combo order. I took a lower offer on the dice because they also did a good offer on this, like a slightly better offer than I wanted on this one. So I was like, okay, that's the total is the number I cared about, but I would have wanted more from this if it was like an individual sale. So, but $40 for those 3 things, super cool. I'm sure the book or the movie or the show is a lot of fun, and they probably realized that there was a card game, and they looked it up, saw my stuff, and wanted to get some, or they played the card game. All right, next up is going to be Crimson Skies. I always forget what this is. I think it's just like I want to say it's a fiction like fighter jet game, and I think there's different versions of it or editions. I think it's been around for a while. I think there's like a modern one. This is like, I think, a quick start rule book, so this is not the full rules. I had multiple. Oh yeah, it's like one of these special free issues where you probably would have gone into like a tabletop store at the time, and then they would have this, at the front or something, and then pick it up, you read about it later on, and you go like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the store and get some figures. So I know we sold a couple of the figures before, but that's about all I know. $17.50. I mean, people love the games where you're simulating like air fights and stuff. Like think X-Wing for Star Wars. That's obviously Star Wars, a fiction universe. But yeah, people like that. All right, next up is going to be a lot of 67 miniatures. They're just like infantry holding rifles. I don't think I was able to denote like, what they were from or what brand. So I still listed them all. They were just like all the same color. I guess there's like some are painted, some are not. People will look at the pictures. They'll be like, okay, that's X, Y, or Z. And then they're like, okay, we want it if they can get the right price, $10.99 for these miniatures right here. All right, moving along. Real story. So these are going to be some Crocs. These are classic cozy glitter sandals. I'm proud I finally sold some shoes. I've only sold a couple on eBay. I'm really bad at like clothes, just like absolutely terrible at selling clothes. I know it's easy category for a lot of people. I consider this clothes. I mean, this is not clothes. These are shoes. These were actually given to me by my brother because he had them for so long. He bought them for someone he was dating at the time, and then they broke up. And then, yeah, no, it's true. Annetta's laughing. No, it's true. It's the Crocs. And then out of nowhere, I was like going through the garage at one point. He's like, here, you can just sell this. I'm like, what's this? And he explained the story. I'm like, from when? He's like, oh, like 6 years ago. I'm like, sure, whatever. Selling those. So thank you to him. Those sold for $40. He probably spent more than that. But there you go. We're recovering it. All right. Next up. It's true. We got this incomplete. Which one was this one? A 1980s Tonka GoBots right here. Oh yeah. I think maybe not. This might have been when my brother gave me a bunch of toys, bits and pieces. He got like a huge collection. He also does reselling. He did it way before me, but then he's transitioned into like trading cards only, mostly wrestling cards, but anything that basically goes in eBay standard envelope, nice and easy to put, ship out. So he gave me a bunch of all these bits and pieces that he wasn't going to use anymore. And then, so I appreciate it. Thank you to him. He watches, I think, most of my videos, if not all of them. $11.75 for this one. I think that's from him. All right. Next up is going to be, this was super cool. It's in Dungeons and Dragons, like a metal wizard. Or it doesn't have to be Dungeons and Dragons. I just put D&D in the title just because I thought it would be a good one. So we have this figure. Oh, you probably won't be able to see it, but really cool, like metal pewter figure. And he's holding up like a crystal globe, like his orb, and he has this like staff. Very like classic. It looks like an 80s or 90s like style wizard. This ended up going for $10. So that's a really cool piece. I remember I got a bag of cool like metal miniatures, and I knew people would eventually appreciate them. All right, next up is going to be a lot of 2. It was the Skybolt action figures. I have a ton of these figures. I have a ton of different like lots listed, some individual. So if someone wants individual character, they can get that. And then I have some like 2, 3, 4, or 5 groupings. We have the Sisters of Darkness Platinum, Letha right here with her like all of her accessories. And then it's based off of the comic book on the back. They have some of the comic, and then this Cinder figure right here. I had a couple of different versions of her. She had like one where she's like all like elemental, and then like different outfits and stuff. So they also got these, like this was my listing of 2. They ended up spending $15 for those. All right. Next up is going to be World of Warcraft trading card game. I've talked about it a lot. I like this game. Haven't played it in forever since like I played it the first few years it came out. This is going to be a class starter deck. This is going to be the Warlock one. This one is incomplete, as in it's supposed to come with like some packs and then like a loot card. I had separated all that stuff when I was like listing everything from that World of Warcraft trading card game haul I got, that collection I bid at auction. But yeah, full on deck for someone to use. It's kind of like Hearthstone. You pick a hero, they'll have like a special ability, and you're trying to bring the other person's hero's life points down to 0. You summon, I think they're called allies. Damage stays on minions from turn to turn, where some games like Magic the Gathering, the damage clears at the end of the turn. So that is a part of this game. $20 for this deck. All right. I had actually, when I did the calculation for how much money I was going to make from that lot, I counted those decks like $5-10 maybe, and I got a lot more for each of them. All right, moving along, we have a Mech Warrior by WizKids. This game's not around anymore, but a lot of people like the mech stuff. This is going to be a mining mech. I don't know if this is a rare, but these would come in the booster packs. They would be these like chunky little rectangular blocks basically, and then they would have like obviously some like a mech would be usually be in there. They would have like infantry, little tanks, big tanks. They were kind of like the rectangle ones. This figure ended up going for $5.24. Usually for the Mech Warrior games, there's going to be like a faction right here. This is Sword Sworn, I think, right there. Sorry, alliteration coming out. But yeah, some of them I also wanted to list separately. All right, moving along. I think Annetta probably picked these out. Kurt Adler Christmas ornaments. Yeah, right here. So these are probably really good ones. Bunch of different like art on them, maybe like someone painted on them. I don't know too much about ornaments. We'll sell them often. It's past the holidays. You can sell the seasonal stuff year round.
We sold that guy's ornaments before as single individual ones. I think he has like landmarks of different like cities and stuff that he makes. Like,
okay.
Ornaments. So we sold them before for like $30-40.
Okay. And as I said, we've sold individual ones by Kurt Adler, and they were like landmarks on them. So we've sold the individual ones that she remembers for like 30 or $40. A lot of the ornaments go into my like memory decay. I don't remember them. I mean, I know we sell a bunch of them, but yeah. This set right here, nice one, sealed, $45. Don't throw that in 49 cents. All right. Moving along, we have the game only for the C3I magazine. Those are those wargaming magazines. They have like 32 of them, 36, 38, 30 something magazines. They come with a bunch of inserts for board games. This is going to be the game only for issue, I think it was like 32. No, not 32, 23. I flipped them over. I flipped over the numbers. So yeah, a bunch of cards, some of the tokens, and then the rule book, and then there's the map. You can't see it because it's not double-sided. But yeah, this ended up going for $38.49. You've seen me sell like the bits and pieces when I'll have like just the cards or just like the little chit tokens or just the rule books. So yeah, I find the C3I stuff randomly all the time in variations of completeness or incompleteness. All right, next up is going to be, this one was interesting, but they're also probably fun for someone to use. So these are going to be tile sets for the Gloomhaven game. So you get these big tiles. They also have overlay tile. Gloomhaven is going to be this fancy game by Cephalofair Games where you're playing mercenaries. You're going through like over 50 to 100 missions, depending on what choices you make. But you play mostly on these hex maps here. You use these different variations of tiles to build out the map. You know, if the scenario tells you to get, you know, this one's B1A, you pull it out from the bag, and then like you set up your game, and then you pack it all up. People could use these for what, role-playing games or anything else. There's supposed to be 30 tiles for a complete set. This is 21 tiles, so it's not a complete one. A lot of the price into this is going to be shipping. This person still paid $9.79 for this, so that's pretty good. They don't have to use it for Gloomhaven. Like I said, they're nice different variations of art and sizes, and they all clip together on the edges. They're modular. All right, moving along, we have like 6 of these plastic. I put race car driver miniatures. I couldn't figure out what board game they were from, if they were. But yeah, they're just 6 figures, hands on a wheel, and they have their seats, and then their legs all kicked out, and that's it. There's just 6 of them. These end up going for $5, so I have no idea what someone's going to use these for or what they were from. All right, next up is going to be Wild Talent Superhero Role-Playing Game. It was like, was it an expansion booklet? I didn't even take a look. I was like pulling stuff kind of relatively quickly today. Oh yeah, this is like a thicker one. It's yeah, just a role-playing game in a world gone mad. There you go. Got like the front art there, and then the back you have like kind of like the Iron Giant theme to it. So this one's the Essential Edition, so maybe it's like, you know, an extra expansion or like an update to one of these games. This end I'm going for $11.19. Like I said, I have to go back to all my role-playing stuff that I haven't listed yet because a lot of people are picking up a lot of this stuff. All right, moving along, I got a set of 300 Lord of the Rings trivia cards. So that's super cool. People love Lord of the Rings. Has a cool little box with the ring with Sauron's eye in the middle there. It has all 300 of them from the Trivial Pursuit. I think this one did better than basic Trivial Pursuit stuff because it's a Lord of the Rings and people want to go through answering questions about the movie and stuff like that. This ended up going for $13.99. All right, next up is going to be 2 cherished teddies. Which theme was this? I think these were just like random ones I had. We have Every Bunny Needs a Friend, and then also Friends Are Exceptional. So these are going to be Easter themed. We got a bunch of these cherished teddies. It wasn't one of my favorite buys. We got like around 600 of them or so. I think we spent like 75 cents or $1 each. We like agreed upon something. And we also got some like throw-ins from doing that sale. These kind of were like a pain to list. We got prices all over the place, so we made a bunch of money on some of them, and then other ones like these two went for $15.39, which is really good for 2. I would take $7 for each of them all day, every day. But yeah, there are these little bears. They have like collector numbers on the bottom. I think they were made within Illinois. That's why we run across these all the time. But we also see like those. I think they're called like snow babies and those type of like the precious moments. We'll see a lot of those. So yeah, we just happen to we're around the areas where like we see a bunch of these things. But yeah, $15.39 for the set of 2. So I'm glad someone's gonna appreciate them, and I'm super excited to move them. All right.
Oh, random trivia. People are taking precious moments and they're actually painting it to look like goth, alternative, emo.
Oh, okay.
Millennials are like repurposing their parents' old crap when they inherit it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that said that there was like a trend going on where people will inherit or just take their parents' old stuff and like be painting all like emo, like the precious moments and stuff. They'll be like painting it emo or maybe dark or just like a little bit different. All right, that actually sounds fun. Moving along, we have some no, they weren't Napoleonics. Armies in plastic. Oh yeah, Napoleonic Wars. They were like French. Oh, I put them in this baggie. They're like these French toy soldiers. I got a bunch of these. Yeah, they're in different stances. There's like 10 of them. These are like a light blue. You've seen me sell baggies of these before. I still had a bunch more. I forgot. I had another bin where I had a bunch listed. I completely forgot. But yeah, people like to paint these up. I saw like someone did like a little blog where they painted up a ton and made like a little story about it. People love picking them up. I relisted the same set of 10 that I had, $7.83. They're like the army men size. Next up is this Fast System role-playing game. This is a Dungeon Master screen, so it has the front and back here. This is like a lady with like a snake coiled, and then this is kind of like a guy with like a rune or something sorcerer on his hand. But yeah, these Dungeon Master screens, they fold out. They have a bunch of quick information on the inside for the Dungeon Master to look at so they don't have to go through like a book during the game. And also it hides their roles so the other players don't see, so they can lie about it. But this ended up going for $16.80. I really do have to get to listing more of the like hipster RPG stuff I have. All right, next up is going to be X-Wing. This is going to be the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game. This is Academy Pilot. This is going to be an alt art card. People like to get these promo cards. They would have to go to events. Some of them would be participation prizes. Other ones you would have to get first, second, or third. I had one more of these Academy Pilot cards, but this is going to be the card that will be represented by the ship. There's like certain stats right over here. I played this game a couple times a bit ago. At this point, it was like 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Time flies. This sold for $6.92 to repeat buyer, and because I had another one, I relisted it while I was at the storage unit. All right, next up. This one looks super cool. Death Trap Dungeon, a strategy guide book. You see me get like occasional different types of strategy guide books. This still has like original price sticker up over here. I don't think I've ever played this game, but yeah, this one ended up going for $10.49. That's about what I get for the strategy guide books, between 8 to 15. So I'm pretty happy at that. It looks like a cool one. Someone's going to appreciate it. All right, moving along, we have a pirate book, Piracy and Plunder, a Murderous Business, some kind of hardcover book. Don't know anything about this one. I don't even remember where we got this particular one. It's not like a role-playing game book. It's just like an illustrative book. This ended up going for $6.99. This is going international as well. A lot of eBay international sales. We like the program a lot. It's been really good for us. All right. Next up is going to be a vintage like playing card deck, or it was called like a swap cards or something. These are going to be lions dancing. Really cool playing cards. I almost kept these ones, but I did not have a box. And I like to have a box when I keep my playing card decks. But yeah, you can see like the line right there. And then there's like one of the jokers on the back. This is going to be complete. This sold for $12.24. You see me picking up like the kind of different types of playing card decks. It's been a while since I've found some like cheap enough to flip, but I do like selling that category. All right, moving along is going to be 8 military miniatures with motorcycles. So was this military? Artillery. Oh, sorry, infantry. Military. It's pretty late right now. My brain's mush. We're almost done here. But yeah, 8 of these with 4 motorcycles. So I had to differentiate between they're getting 8 figures and then 4 motorcycles. So it's not like a complete 8 and 8 set. But these still sold for $15. I haven't really sold motorcycle miniatures before or have found a lot. So I know people like to get the extra stuff. I do sell a bunch of like the regular infantry for like the other ones that I showed you guys earlier. But yeah, the bikes, the ships, the jets, the helicopters, those always do pretty well. $15 for those miniatures right there. All right, moving along, we have Panzerfest and Campaign Magazine. This is just gonna be one of those wargaming magazines. What issue is this? Number 75. So this is a long-going magazine series. I don't remember selling this one too often. We get a lot of these different wargaming magazines. This one doesn't come to mind, but $6.72. Saw from my listing, or at least the box it came from, or like where I had it stored, it had been there for a bit. So it's been a while since I listed that. All right, moving on, we have the cool miniatures or not Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. This is going to be Catelyn Stark right here. This is going to be her figure. I got a small little collection at an auction. I didn't know if it was a good buy at the time. I think I spent like 50 or 55, and then I started to slowly sell the individual figures. I ended up selling like an incomplete starter for like 45 or 50. Obviously, there's fees, but I did make money from it. So I still have a bunch more stuff that's been selling. I also had like squads. It's a game where you pick a faction, you'll put your figures on trays, and then you'll have like heroes and characters. And obviously, I think there's gonna be some combat as well as different, gold, power, influence. So Catelyn Stark, she has her card here. I apparently didn't have like a sleeve that fit at the time, so just to have it protected at the storage unit, I put it in this one. I have a bunch of different random sleeves from getting all the board game collections and stuff. I just have like piles of different types of sleeves all over the place, and I list the individual or like the sleeves as well, unrelated to this, but $5.75 for this individual figure. All right, next up is going to be one of these model kits. This is going to be U.S. Tank Destroyer M10. This one's going to be complete. It's like open box still, but yeah, like I said, the tanks do really well for us. Jets, model kits, the toys, the miniatures. This ended up going for $18.37. Tamiya is the company that this one's by. There you go. And that already has that one ready to go for shipping. Next up is going to be a lot of 7. I don't really like my picture for this one. The series, I think this is the whole series. This is going to be the Chronicles of Narnia. It's been a long time since I've read them or seen the movies. I don't even know if they did all the movies. Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, I got a full set. It's rare for me to get like a full set of something. I used to collect like different Harry Potter books, hoping to sell the full set one time. And I didn't get the full set of Harry Potter books by collecting them individually. I eventually just ran across a whole set that I bought and then sold. But yeah, full set here. This ended up going for $11.81. Yeah, if there's 7 of them. If there's more, then I guess I'm just lying right now. Or accidentally lying, not like on purpose. All right. Moving along, we have this cat splatter. Like, I don't want to call this like a dead card game. This is just kind of like one of those like unique card games you find and you look at it and go, maybe there was only like 100 copies made or something. So it's like a niche one, and then like the stuff still exists out there. You can still play it. So I like to find like the unique stuff like this. So like this sold for $18.90. I have no idea what type of like card game this is, but I probably looked it up when I listed it back then. I just can't remember right now. All right, next up is going to be another Cherished Teddy. Been getting really lucky. It took a while for a lot of these to sell, but I noticed I've been selling them a lot last month and start of January so far. Little Bundle of Joy, Cupid, Baby Girl, and Pillow. So this is going to be another probably Valentine's Day themed one with the Cupid wording there. This ended up going for $10.07. That's really good for an individual Cherished Teddy. Really depends on like which one it is and what like theme, but yeah, I'm really happy for that. All right, and someone's gonna appreciate it. All right, last up, got a good story for that for this one. You remember this, Annetta? This is gonna be. She said, "Oh, this is what is this? Rudolph Frimmel. All right, California. Okay, so these are gonna be mock-up like piano sheets, I think, like a little piano sheets. So yeah, we were at this warehouse that was gonna be moving from one place to another, and they did like a sale, but there's a lot of people there, and it was pretty hectic. So I was at a table. Annetta was out grabbing a bunch of stuff. I was at a table. I saw a bunch of cool, I think it was like postcards or photographs or something. So I'm dumb. I'm not thinking. It was already kind of chaotic there. So I'm like looking for Annetta to like yell at her, and then I eventually find I'm like, oh, Annetta, there's some like cool stuff here. This lady comes barreling through, grabs all of it in front of me, and then just like walks away. And I'm just like, I was like annoyed. I was like, whatever, snap out of it, just move on and find something else. So I'm looking at the table that like she just had gone through and like grabbed the stuff that I was yelling at Annetta to show her. And I see a bunch of these piano sheets. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, I seen like people on online and stuff. They've done piano sheets. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a sale where it's you put a pile, and I'm like, this probably won't add too much. So I grabbed the stack of these piano sheets. Didn't think about it at all at the time. Got a couple other things. Annetta had gathered a huge pile, and then I happened to put down all my stuff within our pile of stuff that I was collecting. And then like 15, 20 minutes later, the same lady, I see her, and then she starts touching all the stuff. And I was standing by it because I didn't want anyone to grab her stuff. And we had a lot of stuff that we are going to be grabbing. We got a lot of stuff that day. And I kept having to say like, hey, this is like our stuff. I'm buying this stuff. I'm not going to not, can you please like stop going through our stuff? And she just kept saying one word. She just kept saying Mozart, Mozart, Mozart. You have my Mozart. And I'm like, no idea what's going on. I'm just like, I had to get the person who was in charge of sales, like, can you please help me watch my stuff, make sure like no one goes through it. We had known him. He's seen us buy a bunch of stuff from him before, so he knew I was like good for it. So he did help me make sure our stuff wasn't gone through. But she eventually walked away, and I had no idea what she was talking about. We pack up everything. We get home. A week or two later, I'm like organizing all this stuff, going through all this stuff, and I saw we happened to have a piano sheet that said Mozart and a bunch of others. So it was like a huge stack of these piano sheets. So she thought that I took her piano sheets, but what happened in the flurry of all that motion of her like barreling in front of me and grabbing like the photographs or postcards or whatever that I was yelling at Annetta that I wanted her to look at, she must have had these in her hand and she dropped them. So when I went back to look at the table, going through the table, I'm like, oh, these are cool. Like I hadn't fully had observed the whole table. So I guess she got the photographs or whatever I wanted, but I got her Mozarts. These were just like mock-ups. They weren't too crazy. I think this is the first one I've sold. I think there was like a pile of 30 of them or so. So $12.60. So technically she was right. I had the Mozart or whatever, the piano sheets. I just had no idea. It was a sale. It was one of those sales where just like it was chaotic. Yeah, we've gone to two really chaotic sales before. That was probably the second most chaotic. There was also one that was way crazier. That one will be for another time when one of those items sells, and then I'll remember it. All right, that was a lot. Sorry for like my half brain, half rambling. It is super late. It's like 4 o'clock at this point. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Mozart. All right.